Good morning, Magic players and card collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today was actually a pretty good day for me at work. I got to actually go do the thing I actually enjoy doing instead of being stuck where I normally am. So that was kind of nice. I appealed to try and get moved to that spot, but unfortunately they don't have any openings right now, and it doesn't seem like anybody's going to, per se quit or anything at this time. So solid chance I'm going to be stuck where I am for a while still, unfortunately, but at least one day a week I can go and enjoy myself. In the meantime, in between time though, had a lovely weekend with my friend Kai and Kaiba, and yesterday was abysmal, so I'm hoping that since today started more positively, we will have a good day. The only thing that was really good about yesterday was the actual Ninja Turtles opening, since I lost Kaiba's ball at the park and he got really upset with me and basically was upset with me the rest of the day. When I can afford to, I'm going to have to buy him some more, even though he has like 3 more at home, but he's still not happy about the fact that he lost his, so I'll have to get him a new one, and then he'll be over it. But, yeah. Also, Kaiba is playing the role of Sir not appearing in this video, because, I'm doing this in the car, obviously. I'm not sure if my dad's gonna be home or not. If he is not home, I do need to record, the next installment of Gurney's Chronicles through Crystal, though, because I haven't actually, played any of that for over a week, so gotta get that filmed. Not that that series is doing super well, but more so than anything else, I just want to keep playing the game too. But yeah. In the meantime though, we are here on this lovely Tuesday morning to do what we do best on Tuesdays. It's time for Dollarama Draws of Destiny! I'm just going to do 3 packs of Destiny for you guys today, because we got to start watching our budget a little bit better again. And such. Plus, more so than anything else, I have those 6 packs still of regular MTG that I really want to get cracking at home. I never really got any feedback from anybody regarding whether it should be a stream or a video series, so I've decided I'm just going to, when I feel like cracking a couple packs, I'm going to crack a couple packs. So also, if my dad's not home today, maybe I'll crack a couple packs and we will tack it on at the end of this video as a separate thing, or something special for Dollarama Draws of Destiny. Who knows? But in the meantime, in between time, let's crack these 3 packs and see if we continue our legendary streak. Currently, we are on 3 weeks in a row, I believe, for legendaries. I'm supposed to keep track of that, but I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to keep track of that, so I haven't. I also haven't heard back yet about the job, so I'm hoping positive news, but I do know that there's some heavy competition for it, so there's a good chance I might not get it, which, as disappointing as that would be, is what it is. But my main thing that I'm really putting all my effort into praying for right now, of course, is still for the health of Lily, the senior pug, who last I heard is doing much better, but I haven't seen anything from her night by herself. I was at work this morning, and so if Lily's mom posted anything yet, I'm not sure. But hopefully Lily continued to do well and continues to recover. And Kaiba and I love you and your mommy, and we hope that you guys are doing okay. With that said, let's see what we got for the packs. We're starting off with some Hotshot Investigators. 5 and a blue for a 4/4. When this thing enters the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. If you controlled it, you get to investigate. Probably not going to play that, to be honest. That seems pretty bad for the cost. Terramorphic Expanse, classic. Always good to have extra copies of that. Ooh, Intrepid Rabbit. I'm not sure if I have one of these or not, but it's nice to have one if I don't. 2 and a white for a 3/2 with Offspring 1. So when you cast this, if you pay an extra 1, you get to make a 1/1 copy of it. And when this thing enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So in theory, you could give the same creature+2/+2 if you pay the Offspring. Or you could pick 2 different creatures. Excavation Mole, 2 and a green for a 3/3 with trample. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. In a very specific deck, that is actually pretty positive, but I'm not a huge fan of milling in green, to be honest. Marauding Sphinx, 3 and 2 blue for a 3/5, Flying Vigilance Ward 2. And whenever you commit a crime, surveil 2, but only once per turn. Still, that's a pretty stacked card for what you're paying for it, so I'm not going to knock that one. Unsettling Twins. It is a hollow. And that is definitely a little bit unsettling indeed. 3 and a white for a 2/2. When this thing enters, manifest dread. I think that's a little expensive for that, to be honest. Probably not. Ooh, we got the 8th Doctor. This is our first actual Doctor. Yay! I've never pulled any of the real Doctors before. The only one that I've pulled is there's a red-green one that is like a Time Lord almost. Or, well, I suppose this one is a Time Lord too. But it's like it's not one of the regular numbered Doctors, is my point. I forget what the name of it is off the top of my head. But this is the first real Doctor I've pulled before. When the 8th Doctor enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Once during each of your turns, you may play a historic land or cast a historic permanent spell from your graveyard. If you do, it gains this. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Cool. I like this guy. He's a little expensive, but I like him. And we're keeping our legendary streak alive with that, so bonus. Macabre Reconstruction. 3 and a black. Cost 2 less to cast if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Nice. That is definitely a good card as well. Okay. Stop revealing other stuff. Ariad's Lullaby. 1 and a white. Destroy target tapped creature. You gain 2 life. Sorcery speed, but that's still pretty decent overall. Sirakar Banisher. 4 and a white for a Sirakar, whatever the heck those are. When this thing enters the battlefield, you may return target tapped creature to its owner's hand. It's a 3/3. It's not bad. Bubble Snare. Blue with kicker 2 and a blue. Enchant creature. When this thing enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, you get to tap that creature. The enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap steps. So in theory, if you pay 2 and 2 blue, you're going to tap a creature and make it not be able to untap. Pretty solid. Gruul Locket, unless they have like an ability that lets it do it. Taps for red or green. Pay 4 of those in any combination, and you can sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Inescapable Brute, 5 and a red for a 3/3 with Wither. And it must be blocked if able. I do love Wither, I'm not going to lie. This is a little expensive, but I do have a copy of this, and I do want to put it into a deck at some point. So having an extra one doesn't hurt. Lava Axe deals 5 damage to target player. Ooh, that is actually pretty good. 4 and a red, sorcery speed. I would still probably use it. And Decode Transmissions. 2 and a black, draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or if a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. Nice. That's pretty solid. Decent pack for sure. Definitely happy with the 8th Doctor. I couldn't afford any of the Doctor Who decks at the time when they came out. And even if I could, I never actually really followed the series too much. I always forget which one it was, but I think like there was one round of Doctor Who that I actually really enjoyed. I think it might have been like the 6th or 7th Doctor, or it could have been later. But my dad had it on a lot when I was a kid, but that was the only one I ever saw. And I don't think this is him though. Actually, I think the one that I used to see might be the 10th one, to be honest. If I remember correctly, he had that style of hair. Target creature gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. Investigate. All for 1 black. Heck yes. Vizier of Tumbling Sands. 2 and a blue for a 1/3. Tap this to untap another target permanent. When you cycle this thing, you can untap target permanent. I am definitely not going to kick that out of bed. That's a good card too. Dazzling Denial, 1 and 0 blue. Target spell gets countered unless its controller pays 2, but if you have a bird, they have to pay 4. Tuya, Bear Claw, another legendary. I've pulled this a few times, but this is always a decent one for any red-green deck because when it attacks, it gets +6/+6 until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. So if you can hit this with its ability and then hit it with something that gives its power to everything else, that becomes insane on the board. I like that. Another good legendary. Mnemonic Wall. 4 and a blue for 0/4 with Defender, and when it enters the battlefield, you may return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Can't remember if I pulled that before or not, but I am going to build a Walls deck eventually, so that's possibly useful. Edgar's Awakening. 3 and 2 black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you discard this thing, you may pay black. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. Very interesting. And it's a hollow. But I like that one. Dinosaur Egg! Dinosaur! Rawr! If anybody gets that reference, kudos to you. That is definitely a Puggy reference. 1 and a green, 0/3. Evolve. This is probably going to go in my dinosaur deck, to be honest. This is really pretty. I like this. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control that has greater power or toughness than this thing, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. And when this thing dies, I may discover X, where X is this thing's toughness. Pretty solid. Ooh, looks like we're getting another cool thing. Culvert Ambusher. What do you do? I actually like the dinosaur egg more than Tuya. 3 and 2 green for 4/5. When this thing enters the battlefield or is turned face up, target creature blocks this turn of Able, and it has Disguise 4 and a green. It's not as good as I was hoping it would be. It's got a pretty artwork though, so I'll give it some props for that, but not going to use it likely. Lightning Strike. 1 and a red. Deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Solid all around. Urge to Feed. 2 black. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You may tap any number of untapped vampire creatures you control. If you do, put +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. I think I have a copy of this somewhere. But this is still a really solid vampire card for sure, and if I end up making a second vampire deck, is a good one to have. Thornwood Falls. Enters the battlefield, tap, gives you a life, taps for blue or green. Not going to knock that out of bed, as the saying goes. White Mage's Staff. 1 and a white. I think I pulled this the other day. Job Select gives you a 1/1 hero. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has whenever the creature attacks you gain 1 life. It's also a cleric. Yes, I got this in the Final Fantasy pack that I pulled from Matt Cave the other day. But now we have an extra copy of it, which is cool. It is definitely a solid artifact. Entourage of Trust. 4 and a green for 4/4. When this thing enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. This thing can block an additional creature each combat as long as you're the monarch. Cool. That is a good card. This pack was fire. Goblin Piker. Yes. 1 and a red for a 2/1. And that's all he does. So not going to use him probably. And Slag Drill Scrapper. 1 for a 1/2. Much better than a 2/1. Pay 2 and tap this, sacrifice another artifact or land to draw a card. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad, it's not bad. I don't know. Do I like the dinosaur egg more than the 8th Doctor? I think I might. It's just so pretty. So pretty. Dinosaur! Rawr! Dinosaur. I think they're tied for the day. It's best card so far. For me. Alright, last pack. And then I gotta go grab a case of Coke and go to the bank to pay the credit card bill before I go pick up some groceries and go home to my baby boy. That way tomorrow I can just go straight home. Incubation Sack. 1 green. Enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. Okay, pay 4 and tap this. Remove an oil counter. And create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Ooh. That might end up in my Yeah, that might end up in my Phyrexian deck at some point, because that's pretty solid. Wandering Champion. 1 a white. Whenever this thing deals combat damage to a player, if you control a blue or red permanent, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Okay. Except for the fact that it's a 3/1, that's pretty good. Cliffside Lookout. 1 for a 1/1. Pay 4 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. It is an ally, so that is good, but that's probably not going to make the cut in my allies deck, to be perfectly honest. 2 and a green for a 3/3. So far, this pack is kind of snot. This isn't bad, it just has no abilities. But I mean, other than the Incubation Sac, I'm not seeing anything I'm super thrilled about in this pack. That is a card we can't play in actual Magic, but it can go into one of my unset decks when I start building those. 2 and a white, sacrifice play. A person outside the game chooses an attacking or blocking creature target opponent controls. That player sacrifices that creature. In recursive chess, one piece can capture another only after beating it in a game of recursive chess. Rattleback Apothecary. 2 and a black for 3/2. Death Touch. Whenever you commit a crime, target creature you control gains your choice of menace or lifelink until end turn. Yeah, I like that. Even though it's a 3/2 rather than 2/3, I do like that quite a bit. Dream Dew Enchancer. I've pulled this a decent number of times, but I mean, more copies means more decks I can put it into. 3/4 with Reach, which is pretty solid for 2 and a green and a blue. But the big thing is, when this thing enters the battlefield, you can tap up to 1 target creature, and if you do, put 3 stun counters on it. If you control that creature, you get to draw 2 cards, but otherwise, you're going to affect somebody else's board for a few turns, which is pretty cool. 1 and 2 blue. Choose one or both, counter target spell, or tap 1 or 2 target creatures. Yeah, okay. The pack has improved. This is for sure. Weldfast Wingsmith. 3 and a blue. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, this thing gains flying until end of turn. It's not terrible. We got ourselves a mountain. I think the Weldfast is going to not make that cut, though. It's going to go right below the mountain. Act of Treason. Nice. I don't think I have this version of the artwork, and I kind of like it. The Sultai take our dead, so we shall take their living. Okay. Can control a target creature until end of turn, and tap that creature, gains haste until end of turn. I love this card. I love that kind of style. There is one deck that I built that's just like insanely taking everybody's stuff and sacrificing it on a regular basis, so eventually I'm going to reprofile that deck on the channel for you guys, like all the others. That, by the way, was a flying 2/2 for 2 and a blue, or 2 and a white, which isn't terrible. Enchant creature, enchanted creature has +1/+2 and flying for 1 and a white. Yeah, alright. I'm happy with that. Rise of Eagles. 4 and 2 blue. Put 2/2 blue bird enchantment creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, and then scry 1. I think that's too expensive. It's a really cool card, but I think it's just a little too expensive. And Airy Auxiliary. 3 and a white for 3/3 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, support 2. Okay. That one's not terrible. Incubation Sac was definitely the card in that pack. And then this one for sure too, but I think card of the day still is going to have to go to a combination of Dinosaur Egg and the 8th Doctor. And with that said, we have finished this episode of Dollarama Draws of Destiny! I hope you guys have enjoyed the polls today, and I hope you guys will have a magnificent Tuesday. Much love to you all from Kai Beho and myself in the car. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.